Hi, this is Ridea Keeping It Real, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. We are reading through the Bible using the Good News Bible, and we're up to the book of Jonah. I did do a Bible study schedule to see what would it really take for me to get through the rest of the Old Testament, the Apocrypha, and the New Testament. And it looks like I have to do several videos, not just on the Sabbath Saturday, but also midweek, like on a Wednesday. 3 videos on Saturday and 2 videos on Wednesday, just to get through this. So this is kind of what it looks like. And so when I look at this, I think about people who say they've read through the Bible cover to cover. Yeah, I take that with a grain of salt because this is no joke. This is dedication and commitment. So this is kind of what it looks like. This is what we're going to do, how we're going to get through it um, by the end of the year. So let's get started. So we're on Jonah. A lot of us know this story. We learned it in Bible school, about Jonah and the whale. So let's just read through it, see what it says. So the book of Jonah. The book of Jonah is unlike other prophetic books of the Bible in that it is a narrative describing the adventures of a prophet who tried to disobey God's command. God told him to go to Nineveh, the capital of the great empire of Assyria, Israel's deadly enemy. So God told Jonah to go to Nineveh, and Nineveh was the capital of Assyria, which was an enemy of Israel. Okay. But Jonah did not want to go there with God's message because he was convinced that God would not carry out his threat to destroy the city. After a series of dramatic events, he reluctantly obeyed and finally sulked when his message of doom did not come true. The book portrays the book portrays God's absolute sovereignty over his creation. That's interesting. So the book portrays God's absolute sovereignty over his creation. But above all, it portrays God as a God of love and mercy, who would rather forgive and save even the enemies of his people than punish and destroy them. That's something we need to keep in mind, that this is God's nature, that he would rather forgive and save even the enemies of his people than to punish and destroy them. So we have to be like that as well, that we would be willing to forgive, our enemies. So the outline of the contents, you see that there. Let's get started. Jonah disobeys the Lord, the Most High. That's right. So Jonah disobeys the Lord. So one day the Lord spoke to Jonah, son of Amittai. He said, "Go to Nineveh, the great city, and speak out against it. I am aware of how wicked its people are." Jonah, however, set out in the opposite direction in order to get away from the Lord. He went to Joppa, where he found a ship about to go to Spain. He paid his fare, went aboard with the crew to sail to Spain, where he would be away from the Lord. But the Lord sent a strong wind on the sea, and the storm was so violent that the ship was in danger of breaking up. The sailors were terrified and cried out for help, each one to his own god. How is this thing jumping like that? It's jumping. Okay. So then In order to lessen the danger, they threw the cargo overboard. Meanwhile, Jonah had gone below and was lying in the ship's hold, sound asleep. The captain found him there and said to him, "What are you doing asleep? Get up and pray to your God for help. Maybe he will feel sorry for us and spare our lives." The sailors said to each other, "Let's draw lots and find out who is to blame for getting us in this danger." They did so, and Jonah's name was drawn. So they said to him, "Now then tell us, who is to blame for this? What are you doing here? What country did you come from? What is your nationality?" "I am Hebrew." Ah, love that. We could just say that. I am Hebrew. This just could be that plain and simple. We don't have to like Hebrew Israelite, black Hebrew Israelite. I am Hebrew. Jonah answered, "I worship the Lord, the God of heaven. I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made land and sea." Jonah went on to tell them that he was running away from the Lord. The sailors were terrified and said to him, "That was an awful thing to do." Yeah. The storm was getting worse all the time. So the sailors asked him, "What should we do to you to stop the storm?" Jonah answered, "Throw me into the sea, and it will calm down. I know it's my fault that you are caught in this violent storm." Instead, the sailors tried to get the ship to shore, rowing with all their might, but the storm was becoming worse and worse, and they got nowhere. So they cried out to the Lord, "Oh Lord, we pray, don't punish us with death for taking this man's life. You, O Lord, are responsible for all this. It is your doing." Then they picked Jonah up and threw him into the sea, and it calmed down at once. This made the sailors so afraid of the Lord that they offered a sacrifice and promised to serve him. At the Lord's command, a large fish swallowed Jonah, and he was inside the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Jonah's prayer. This is Jonah's prayer. I guess when he's in the fish. From deep inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord his God. "In my distress, O Lord, I called to you, and you answered me. From deep in the world of the dead, I cried for help, and you heard me. You threw me down into the depths, to the bottom of the sea, where the waters were all around me, and all the mighty waves rolled over me. I thought I had been banished from your presence, and would never see your holy temple again. The water came over me and choked me. The sea covered me completely, and seaweed wrapped around my head. I went down to the very roots of the mountains, into the land whose gates lock shut forever." Wow. "But you, O Lord my God, brought me back from the depths alive. When I felt my life slipping away, then, O Lord, I prayed to you, and in my holy temple you heard me. Those who worship worthless idols have abandoned their loyalty to you. But I will sing praises to you. I will offer you a sacrifice and do what I have promised. Salvation comes from the Lord." Then the Lord ordered the fish to spit Jonah up upon the beach. And it did. Jonah obeys the Lord. Once again, the Lord spake to Jonah. He said, "Go to Nineveh, like I told you before. Go to Nineveh, the great city, and proclaim to the people the message I have given you." So Jonah obeyed the Lord and went to Nineveh, a city so large that it took 3 days to walk through. Jonah started through the city, and after walking a whole day, he proclaimed, "In 40 days, Nineveh will be destroyed." The people of Nineveh believed God's message, so they decided that everyone should fast, and all the people from the greatest to the least put on sackcloth to show that they had repented. When the king of Nineveh heard about it, he got up from his throne, he took off his robe, he put on sackcloth, and sat down in ashes. He sent out a proclamation to the people of Nineveh. "This is an order from the king and his officials. No one is to eat anything All persons, cattle, and sheep are forbidden to eat or drink. These are the pictures that we're going to draw some of these pictures. I mean, to color some of these pictures. Yes, so far we're here. The Lord spake to him. He said, I don't want to do that. He gets on the ship. There's a lot of wind and wave, and they're getting tossed about. He's downstairs sleeping. They're like, get up. He's like, it's all because of me. Throw me overboard. They're like, oh, I don't know. We should throw you overboard. We got to pray about that. Let's throw him overboard. They threw him overboard. Everything was calm. And then I don't see where the fish swallowed him up. That's interesting. That should have been one of the pictures. But the fish swallows him up and then throws him out on the beach. He goes to Nineveh. He preaches to the people. It's going to be destroyed. Everybody's in sackcloth and ashes. Let's see. This is a short book. So all the persons and animals must wear sackcloth. Everyone must pray. So everyone must pray earnestly to God and must give up his wicked behavior and his evil actions. Perhaps God will change his mind, and perhaps he will stop being angry, and we will not die. God saw what they did. He saw that they had given up their wicked behavior. So he changed his mind and did not punish them as he had said he would. So that's great. That's possible. So we need to keep that in mind, that even though all the wicked things that the Psalm 83 nations have done, if they truly repent and turn to God, God is willing and able to not punish them. I mean, we need to recognize that. Jonah's angry and God's mercy. And this is kind of how you can feel like, God, how could you forgive them after all they've done? They deserve to be punished. So Jonah was very unhappy about this and became angry. So he prayed, Lord, didn't I say before I left home that this is just what you would do? That's why I did my best to run away to Spain. I knew that you are a loving and merciful God, always patient, always kind, and always ready to change your mind and not punish. Now then, God, let me die. I am better off dead than alive. The Lord answered, what right do you have to be angry? Jonah went out east of the city and sat down. He made a shelter for himself and sat in the shade, waiting to see what would happen to Nineveh. Then the Lord made a plant grow up over Jonah to give him some shade so that he would be more comfortable. Jonah was extremely pleased with the plant. But at dawn the next day, the Lord commanded a worm attack the plant, and it died. After the sun had risen, God sent a hot east wind, and Jonah was about to faint from the heat of the sun beating down on his head, so he wished he were dead. I'm better off dead than alive, he said. But God said to him, what right do you have to be angry with the plant? Jonah replied, I have every right to be angry enough to die. The Lord said to him, this plant grew up one night and disappeared the next. You didn't do anything for it, and you didn't make it grow, yet you feel sorry for it. How much more, then, should I have pity on Nineveh, the great city? After all, it has more than 120,000 innocent children in it, as well as animals. Okay, that's something. I mean, you hear the story of Jonah going into you call it a well, but it was a big fish. But you don't hear any more than that. You don't hear that. God is trying to teach Jonah and all of us. He's in control, total control, and he can do what he wants to do. And he's a just God, and he's going to do justice, not just by the people you want him to do justice by, but all people, based upon how those people, I guess, act. Interesting. Yeah, it's Jonah. Let's just color Jonah. Let's just picture Jonah. Let's just do Jonah. And I read in the Bible's Haley Handbook how people want to say that this is an allegory, but it's not. And it's true because Jesus, Yeshua, references it. That it's a depiction of like him 3 days after he died. I think this is Jonah. I don't know. This is something to ponder and consider. And this is definitely Jonah. Down here. Get thrown overboard. This is Jonah back on the sea. And walking into Nineveh like I'm going to preach to y'all. Preaching. People in sackcloth and ashes. Him sitting under the tree. God planned it. I don't think I understand that part. God is saying, listen, I can make things alive and I can make things dead. Like, what do you got to do with that? You have nothing to do with it. You're a creature, a creation, just like that plant is. That's all Jonah. And we can do all the water. And sometimes this is how you have to color and paint. I learned that when I started doing art, pyrography. Sometimes you just have to paint the same thing. The water's blue. Paint the water blue. That helps you get through the painting. I mean, just imagine this is real. I'm trying to imagine this really happened to this person. Thrown overboard. And said, throw me overboard. He was okay with dying. He was like, I'm okay. Okay, so I'm going to finish coloring this. And then when we come back, we'll start with the book of Micah. So until next time, it's try to keep it real.